Welcome back to Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid anime review, episode number 18. This is going to be discussing the 23rd episode of the series. There are various reasons I'm crazy about Enma. Yes, this whole episode is focused on her. Various chapters from the actual manga, like three just manga, all focus on her, which is quite interesting. Now, it's not from her series. No. This is from the main series of Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, covering chapters 55, 59, and 63. I think it's 64. Okay, the first story comes from chapter 55. This time, they actually adapt all these chapters in order, basically how the story is progressed. Unlike in previous episodes, they usually adapt these chapters out of order. I'm not really sure why they do that for, but it doesn't really affect the flow of the manga. It does flow of the anime. Not really, no. So the first story is basically Enma trying to improve working conditions, despite the fact working conditions have been slowly improving for a while, and tries many proposals to Kobayashi. And after 3 attempts, he it the first time. It wasn't going to be very good. Second time, pretty good. Presented to the boss, turn it down. At third division, and of course, then they try it. And, of course, the boss, who just happens to be Sota's father, keeps brushing it off. And, of course, basically, she gets bribes constantly from him for chocolate. Well, he bribes her with chocolate. Just to keep her quiet. And then, it just doesn't go anywhere. And then the segment ends with her buying more chocolate from a sweet shop. She wanted to buy this particular sweet she really was basically drooling over. That's where the segment ends. The second segment is basically a very interesting one. This one basically involves Sota. By the way, Lukawa is actually mentioned in the first segment. Yeah, where they first talk about Sota, then talk about the proposal, where basically Kobayashi points out that Lukawa is a pervert. And according to Sota's father, she's perfectly fine to basically be trained to train him basically proper mage. He has no problem basically with his son learning from a woman who is basically clearly an adult. Despite the fact, here's the thing. When they did the school festival from last season, everybody thought Lugo was his sister. Just like how everybody thought Kana was, that Kobayashi was Kana's mom. Yep. So the second story is simply Emma basically at her home just eating sweets. And then she gets a ring, as this will ring on my phone. She gets a doorbell ring and she opens the door, like, who's there? Looks down. And it's Kana, Sakawa, and Sota. A character that was just mentioned just last story. And they're going to go on a picnic, camping/slash picnic. And they need an adult to go with them. And, they would contact Kobayashi, but she's busy. And Toru was busy with Maid Cafe work. And I'm like, okay. They probably can't trust Fafnir. My guess is Kana basically doesn't really trust Fafnir very much. And since Toru is busy, okay. Lukua probably is out of town and probably can't do some of the similar things that Lukua does. And probably because Sota doesn't trust her. So, Enma, the only dragon who actually lives by herself. Yes! Isn't it quite interesting, though? Where Emma lives by herself. All the rest of the dragons don't do much. Yep, so let's see. Oh, yeah, they go on the camping trip, and you have Sota basically volunteering to set up the tent, and you have Kana and Sakawa going fishing. Yep, and of course, you're so happy with that. They go fishing for a while. And then, of course, they catch the fish, and they eat some curry. Of course, Edmund eats a whole bowl, really big bowl of lots of rice and curry. Curry is basically rice, gravy, and some, vegetables. Like some potatoes. Excuse me. I've tried something similar to this. I don't think I've tried curry before. Usually curry also has a little bit of spice to it. And after that, basically the kids had to go look for bugs. And then apparently after Enma was just relaxing the water, her feet in the water, this very same water that Kana and Sakawa put the fishing in, she decides to put her feet in the water for a while, and of course the kids go off in the woods, and she basically didn't pay attention to them for like about 10 minutes. She was looking for him. She used her clairvoyance to look for him, but Sota blocks it with his magic. Yeah, apparently. Now, I'm not surprised Kana would know, basically. He knows magic. I would think that Sakawa, basically, be the one to basically be like, okay, how the heck do you know magic? Wouldn't she be surprised? Well, we'll get to that. So, after looking for a while, and then and then we have Emma run into the forest looking for the kids, and she runs into a bear. Yes, a freaking bear. And she has like, have you seen any kids? And of course, the bear tries to eat her, or at least try to attack her. And of course, he's blocking every move that he does. And the bear is probably thinking, how the heck is this human so strong? This is a female human. And of course, embarrassed, and she gets scared by a freaking snail, and then she transforms into her dragon form. And then there's a nod to one of the anime original stories they had it wasn't the last episode, I think it was 2 episodes back, with Emma in her dragon form, though this actually is from the manga this time, like last time was completely anime original, where Saka's like, I remember saying that about the river, and of course Sota knocks her out. Yes, Sota knocks her out. I'm like, okay. So, Sota just knocked out a girl around his age. I mean, if she wasn't interested in Kana, I would not be surprised if she eventually developed a crush on Sota. I would not be surprised about that. And then, of course, well, they apologize for it. And, of course, you do see Lulu there briefly in the thing. And we have this brief little segment where it's like everybody complaining about. I don't think this is from the manga. No, this brief like 2-minute segment of Lulu at the candy shop, her with Take, that's the grandson's owner, the owner's grandson, where Take is basically constantly like glaring at her, like pulling at her shirt because it's hot, and apparently she does notice that Take is staring at her chest. And then the segment just ends. It doesn't go into. It's a complete anime original moment. Like, it's a brief, tiny segment. They probably want to throw in some anime original content here. So, they threw in a quick 2-minute thing with Lulu at her shop. And then we have where Enma basically is asking Fafnir to get Toru to fight her. On the very same field they fought back in early episode. I think it was like episode 3 or 4. And Emma was basically going to fight Toru in this particular field, but Toru basically just left her there for like a week, and she didn't eat a damn thing. And then they fight for quite a while. Yeah, and then at one point, they basically, you have Emma taking off her robe, basically leaving just her main bodysuit, and Toru taking off her tie that she basically constantly wears in the series. And then, of course, they continue brawling, destroying a lot of the ground while they're there. And, of course, eventually the match is a clear draw because they're both exhausted. And, of course, Enma's staff is partially broken. And then we have the thing, of course, you have, and, of course, the first they have, the contest is where if Emma wins, Toru has to go back to the world. But she later changes that they had to buy her dinner. Probably because she likes her. As they're having a long conversation with her. Yes, and then, of course, Kobayashi eats them. And then we have another brief anime little segment where we actually have Enma and Toru basically staring at each other. And I'm wondering what the heck is going on. What's the purpose of this? It turns out Kana and Lulu are actually tickling them. Tickling their feet. I thought this was quite hilarious. Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much the episode. This actually was a pretty good episode. Pretty fun one. Like, okay, I'm glad. I don't mind the fact they actually had the Enma stuff. This is probably the second episode of the series they've had a whole Enma straight episode. But next week looks like we're to take a debut of the character named Chloe. Excuse me. Yes. Now, in the case of Sota's father, I don't think he's actually been, like, in the case of his appearance, per se, like he was seen once before back in episode 9. But he doesn't actually speak. This was actually the first the first segment. That was actually the first episode he spoke. Yeah, he's never spoken to series before. And next episode is all about Kana. Yes. And we have debut of one new character, Chloe. Yeah, she makes a debut in the very next episode, which I'm looking forward to. Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, that's particularly it for this particular review. Stay tuned for my next review, which will be Drugstore in Another World. Okay? Next video.